on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base.
McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win.
That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, 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 welcome to Starbucs. I am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, as always, Jim Rosati. Welcome, Jim. How you doing today?
Good morning. Back from the weekend in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, doing pretty good.
That's right. You were in Pittsburgh this weekend, and you attended a brilliant game. Once again.
Yeah, somehow I actually stayed for the fireworks Saturday night in what was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen in my life.
Congrats.
13-0 loss. Yeah, it was bad. It was such a bad game.
So I forgot about the other game you attended this year, Jim. So how you doing this year on Pirate games?
Yeah, so far its opponents 27, Pirates 1 in two games.
Imagine spending money to see that.
I know.
Jeez.
Seriously.
But besides the Pirates game itself, how was your return to Pittsburgh?
It was good. Gosh, it is so like miserably muggy up there though. I mean, it's the same here. I guess it's just kind of everywhere right now, but
yeah.
It was hot, humid. Yeah. It was hot.
Nice. Okay. Well, with that said, so a lot of stuff happened this week. None of it really good, I guess, in the most Pirate sense that there is. We're going to talk a little about Polanco. We're going to talk about a little bit of Eckstein. We got Yoshi news. The best DH that's ever existed. The best future DH that's ever existed, I should say. I don't know. What do you want to do first? Do you want to get into the Polanco news?
Yeah, let's do that first.
All right. So first off, after Beer Temple botched the entire news and reporting of Polanco, as we talked last week, right? He was just simply put on waivers. He passed waivers. He was in a lineup. He was in right field. He was still playing until the Pirates officially decided no more. Gregory Polanco has been officially released. His tenure with the Pirates is over. With that said, of course, he can be picked up by another team now. He can be available for the playoff roster. There's been some reports, apparently, that the Cardinals are kicking the tires on Gregory Polanco. But for whatever it is, let's talk about the situation in itself, because Gregory Polanco has been a very polarizing topic for the Pittsburgh Pirates this year. And as Tyler and I were talking about on NS9 Live, I just feel like this fan base is bored right now. This team needs to get good really quick because that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Gregory Polanco has been bad, regardless of how you think of him. He has been bad. He's been released, and there's people fighting back and forth about it. So I'll give you the floor, Jim. Give us your thoughts and your opinions on this whole situation, on Gregory Polanco, and is this the right move?
So personally, I think I would have let him stay the rest of the year. I think there's something to be said to just like treating somebody right in a year where the wins and losses clearly don't matter. He's not taking playing time away from anybody. Like, you could just say, okay, well, Polanco, you're not going to start the rest of the year, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw Cole Tucker is his replacement. Like, what are we doing? Like, Cole Tucker's not even going to play hardly, nor does he deserve to play. based off of what he's done in AAA and what he's done in the majors. So, I mean, it's mixed feelings for me. I clearly, I don't have a problem with anybody who says he should be DFA'd. He's been terrible, and he's been terrible for a while. I love the guy, but he has a negative 1.1 WAR this year. I mean, you could argue he's the worst everyday player in baseball, right? And like that's a very valid argument. So it's hard for me to get too upset that they did this. Like I said, I probably would have let him stick it out the rest of the year just for the fact that the team seems to like him. He's a good clubhouse guy. And it's not like there's anybody who's just banging on the door, needing those plate appearances and at bats. So that's my thought. It was, it's a very unceremonious ending to the Gregory Polanco era. But I think we all kind of saw this coming just based off of, I mean, he's been bad for 3 years now. And I'm not talking about like, below average. Like he's been bad
right
for a while. So it is what it is. I probably would have let him stick it out, but I see this argument as well, I guess. This is kind of more of like a business decision that the Pirates are making. I don't really buy the whole, giving him an opportunity to go on another team. I don't think there's any team who's picking up Gregory Polanco. But we'll see. If someone picks him up for the postseason run, then sure, this was the right thing to do. But I think from like a right thing to do standpoint, I think keeping him throughout the end of the year would have been that.
Well, Jim, I said before, like I'm indifferent in this situation. If the Pirates were to move on with Gregory Polanco, I'd be okay with it because for all the reasons you just mentioned, I understand. If they were to keep him, I could understand because of the reasons. Also, as you've mentioned, that there's just simply no one that's like he's not blocking anyone, right? Like he told me about. There's no one there. If Swagger was still healthy, this makes all the sense in the world, right? Like almost. Well, I'm not gonna say almost, regardless of how Swagger is playing, because Cole Tucker that situation. But it's not as if like Gregory Polanco is blocking anyone. He's taking play time. Like we're not seeing the future because they're trotting out Gregory Polanco every day, right? But I guess what I don't understand is because I said I'm indifferent to it, right? They did go ahead and release him, and I'm okay with it for all the reasons you just mentioned. He is. I mean, when you look at the 2021 WAR leaders, unqualified numbers, doesn't matter how many plate appearances you have. Gregory is the fourth worst player, point blank. The only player who's worse than him is Kelvin Gutierrez with a negative 1.2 WAR. Eugenio Suarez, which, by the way, is an everyday player for the Reds, who's a playoff team. But Eugenio Suarez, a negative 1.2 WAR. Then Luis Rengifo, I apologize if I'm botching that, tied with Gregory Polanco with a negative 1.1, and then Polanco. So he is essentially, like you mentioned, he's the second worst player in baseball. When you add up plate appearances next to Eugenio Suarez, who also, though, Suarez has had success. So this is like an off year for him. He's been really good before. So I guess what I don't understand is the people that are fighting tooth and nail that this was screwed up. This is the worst thing ever. I guess I just don't understand because he's been terrible. Like you said, you like the guy, and I do too. I'm rooting for Polanco all day long, his entire tenure here, and it just didn't work out. I really wanted to see him. He's an easy guy to root for. I totally get that. And you see about the clubhouse stuff. You see how he's a great teammate and all this. I understand that. Great too, right? Like these are all reasons that you can fight for him. But it just simply point blank, he is no longer a Major League Baseball player. Regardless of how good this team is or not, he is not a Major League Baseball player. I almost, like, for everything you're saying about do the right thing, this and that, I almost can argue the same sense as well as, like, what message are you sending this new regime, in this new wave? You're rebuilding this club. You want to set a new tone? Like, what message are you also sending that this is okay? You're like, we can accept and play every single day this. You know, like that's a point I make. I mean, we were fighting all the time about what's Kevin Newman still doing lineup for, you know, and yes, he finally gets benched. Now he's performed, so he's in there. But at the same sense, it's the same thing with Newman. You know, like, why is Newman playing every day? What is he earning? In the same sense, what is Gregory Polanco earning? And you know he's not here next year, where, you know, there is some control with Newman and maybe he can turn things around. But the Polanco thing, experience done. So why hold on to it? The only reason to hold on it is just because let's do the right thing for him. But to that, I also say this isn't as if this is Andrew McCutchen. This isn't like it's his last hurrah. It's Andrew McCutchen. He's done so much for the city. You know, I mean, when the Angels were okay to say, see you later, Albert Pujols, what do the Pirates really need to keep Gregory Polanco for?
And that argument right there is extremely valid. So that's why I said, you know, I can see both sides here, because I mean, that also makes sense. Like, what message does this send if you're like, hey, we're cool with this, you know? So we're not going to hold Polanco accountable for his terrible play on the field. We're going to continue to let him be on this roster for the rest of the year. I don't know if it's anything like the Pujols situation, but as far as it goes, yeah, I see both arguments. I tend to be a little bit more on the team likes him, let him stay throughout the end of the year because this team sucks anyways. So I'm on that side, but I see both sides.
Yeah. I just, you know, again, like that just bothers me some. You know, well, his team stinks anyways. Like, to a degree, like what kind of trash is that as a GM? You know, like, well, you know, we suck anyway, so that's why we're going to keep you.
Yeah. Well, again, you have to realize, listen, there is value, right? There's value that's not captured in the WAR. Right.
Yes.
So is Gregory
Correct.
Polanco's off-field value, does that warrant keeping him for the rest of the year? And so apparently they decided it wasn't. And so that's the move that they made. I would tend to believe just on a team that's struggling, they you know, they're not playing very good baseball, but they do actually seem to have fun every now and then. Maybe Polanco, you know, had something to do with that. So I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't think in the long run it'll really mean much, but that would have been what I would have done.
If that's what it was, then let the Pirates carry on, and in memory of Gregory Polanco, carry on that legacy of having fun in those moments. Again,
hang his jersey in the dugout.
There you go. Yes. I'm cool with that. Keep him there in spirit. Remember all the things that he brought.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, this is just simply a guy who's had over 3,000 plate appearances and has amassed a total of 2 WAR. However, in the past 3 years, as you have mentioned, Jim, he has totaled over -2 point WAR. It just simply hasn't been good. 87 weighted run created plus, 41 weighted run created plus, 72 weighted run created plus, -0.2 WAR, -0.7 WAR, -1.1 WAR. He isn't good. He isn't remotely good. It's unfortunate. Has a lot of it been probably dealt with that shoulder injury? Absolutely it has. I mean, we've seen the effects of it. It's just an unfortunate situation for him. I would root hard for him. I hope he has success. I hope he lands a job somewhere still. He wants to play. He said he wants to play. I don't think he will, but I hope he does for the type of guy he is. But that just is what it is, and that's where it ends. Like, he is a good guy. Good guys don't play baseball. Good major league players play baseball. As a matter of fact, a lot of really bad guys play baseball. So, as we've learned with baseball players, he's just not producing. I'm completely okay with this. And I just have a hard time backing up and people like fighting tooth and nail to keep him, that this was wrong. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's all I really have to say about it.
You know what this also means is that you lost your over/under home run total.
I
for the
did.
year.
That's done. See, I'm taking even myself, like putting me aside, the betterment of the team. Even with that said, this is a good situation. Not a situation at all. No, it's not a good situation. This was, to me, an okay move. There's nothing wrong with what they did. The only thing that was wrong, the only reason this is a situation, is because of Beer Temple, who still has yet to acknowledge that he screwed up that reporting.
Yeah, that's still pretty rough because, again, it was poor reporting. He put out a story that was completely inaccurate. All the other Pirates beat writers had to correct him and explain what had actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he never he never came out and said, "Hey, sorry, my bad. I misunderstood the waiver rules."
Right.
No.
He, regardless of self-admitting he made a mistake, did he actually even correct his mistake? Did he even say, "Oh, by the way, it was"? I just think he just ignored it. He just moved on to the next story.
I just literally saw nothing about it after he put up the story. Yeah.
Same. Okay. Just wanted to, because I don't really follow him, but I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, like you said, it's the same. It's the same reason the Giants got Jose Quintana. It's the same reason the Reds got Asdrubal Cabrera. Like, waivers happen, but no one talked about it on those clubs until it happened because it's a non-story. Anyways, we'll move on. We've already hashed that to the death. Anyways, okay. So I guess we'll slide a little bit here to, of course, the guy that took Gregory Polanco's spot in Cole Tucker. So Cole Tucker is getting the call up now. You've said your feelings on him. I can't disagree either. So part of the reason that you might want to keep Polanco is the fact that there's no one knocking on the door. I've said that I wouldn't be shocked if Cole Tucker never sees a day in a Pirates uniform again. That we're not going to see him in the team this year, and then they move on from him next year. Wouldn't be shocked at all. I was wrong in the sense of he is going to wear a Pirate uniform again. It is now. But I still don't feel as if he'll be on the club next year. To me, even though he's not performing well, he has increased his walk rate. I'll give him that. If we're going to talk anything positive on him, he has increased his walk rate. However, he still can't hit a baseball. I don't believe that he's going to come up here and do anything, but maybe this is just Cherington's way of saying we gave you a last shot before we moved on from you.
Yeah, I think that's all this is. He has shown he really hasn't hit the ball since high A. I mean, he couldn't do double A. He couldn't. Yeah, I mean it's been 4 years since he's been a good hitter. So yeah, I guess I'm fine with them giving him a call up here. Just this is pretty much like the Alford situation, in my opinion, where it's like, hey, you guys are probably getting DFA'd, but you know what? We suck. There's no one else to play. So here, go ahead and get 2 or 3 weeks worth of playing time. If you show that you still suck, then we'll cut loose. But yeah, Cole Tucker is definitely on that chopping block this offseason. And I mean, barring a stretch run here where he just goes off, I just don't see it happening any other way.
I'm with you. And
you are right, though.
That happens.
You are right, though. Walk rate a little bit, a lot better this year. But again, who cares what your walk rate is when you're batting 220? Well, no power.
Okay, yeah. I'll say, I mean, that's not totally, because you could be like, Yasmani Grandal and bat like 190, but your on base is 400. You're still slugging 500. But that's the thing. Like, so his walk rate's good, but everything else is terrible. So
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say a little too far about terrible. I mean, the thing is, in AAA, he has amassed a 100 weighted runs created plus. So the walk rate, which is extremely high, has made him an average hitter. But it's just the walk rate that's carrying that, because you said there is still no power. He's not hitting for average. And here's the thing too, Jim. Like, we're also talking about a guy who is now 25 years old. This also isn't a situation where, well, he's 23, he's learning AAA, he's doing this, like, we're giving him his time, his at-bats. He's been at AAA now for a couple of years. He's been in Major League Baseball for a couple of years. You can't be, and you compare it to Alfred's situation, I think true. It's like, okay, so Alfred did what he did in AAA. Let's give him this shot. You fail, we can move on. But what I think is a little bit different is Alfred was actually really producing in AAA. Like Alfred's AAA numbers, even though the strikeout rate was, of course, worrisome, right? Like, we recognize that. He still was hitting the ball. He was crushing the ball when he hit it. So, hey, it's probably not going to translate, but here you go. With Cole Tucker, it's not as if he's blazing through AAA either. Like, that's the thing. He's not like, oh, well, he's put up all these numbers. We still don't believe it. It's probably not going to translate it, but here's a shot. It's like, well, your AAA numbers are meh, So there's not really, it's like real push to get you there, other than the fact that you were the first round pick, you had this pedigree, and this offseason is probably going to be a real big decision on you. There's no luck at all to carry Cole Tucker. So here's 1 month left of Major League Baseball. You haven't shown me in AAA you figured out, but we'll give you your shot at the major leagues. You still show me you haven't figured out, we're done. Cole Tucker, we got too many 40-man roster issues. We're moving on from you. And I think that's all this is. This is all this is.
Yeah, I agree. He's not a major league player. I think you could make an argument if he can hit a little bit, then he can become like a utility guy, but he hasn't even shown he can do that.
We know the glove plays. That's what we talked about, but that's why, him moving around last year, I was kind of okay with, because I just felt like his best case scenario is a utility player. And if he can have a glove and play in every single position, hit just enough, as you're mentioning, then maybe he can be a utility guy. But to me, I don't feel as if he hits anywhere near enough to be a utility guy. No. Forget the glove. It's not that worthy of a bench spot.
No, he hasn't shown that he's capable of being a major league hitter.
Cool. You know who has shown to be capable of being a major league hitter? Jim Rosati.
Who's that?
Mr. Yoshi Studio. I cannot believe you don't know Phil Collins songs.
Yeah,
you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm actually not ashamed of myself.
No, you should be.
Really,
you're listening to the wrong people on Twitter.
I'm really proud of myself that I don't know Phil Collins. I will say this: I did listen to a couple of Phil Collins songs, and there are, I think, two, that I recognize.
Not like,
but it's not like they're any good.
That's what bothers me. You not even.
But it's not that they're any. It's not that they're any good. Like, they all suck.
Oh my God. You're garbage. You're a garbage man.
You know what's crazy is, like, I tweet a lot, right? There's a lot of tweets out there, but that tweet about the suit Sugio thing, that's like the last 3 days, my Twitter mentions are just blowing up with either people who love Phil Collins and are like defending him to the death, or people who are like, yeah, Phil Collins sucks. There's like, it's been a weird hodgepodge in my mentions the past couple of days about, like, you got Phil Collins fans, you've got Greg Brown fans, and then you've got Phil Collins haters, and then you've got Greg Brown haters. So there are these four groups of people who are all coming together. And yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah, that tweet it's insane. I don't understand it.
The Pirates need to get good again. really
this is what we're talking about. Like, my whole Twitter timeline is either Phil Collins love or hate, and then Greg Brown love or hate.
Wow.
that's what it is. We're not even talking about Yoshi Susugo, which is who we were bringing up originally, and we're still
the whole
talking
entire
about
reason why. Right. like Yoshi, like we're not talking about how great Yoshi is or this or that. It's Yoshi has transcended into Greg Brown talk and Phil Collins talk, and that's all we're talking about. Perfect. Yes. No, my thing is, if you don't like Phil Collins, I could be okay with that. But just the fact that you don't know Phil Collins, I'm just like, I'm questioning your music. Like everything about you right now, Jim. Everything about you. But regardless, we'll move on.
I know who he is.
I don't think you really do. I mean, when I said, do you even know Genesis? Your response was, what is a Genesis?
I was thinking you meant the Sega game.
Whatever. All right.
I had a Sega Genesis growing up.
As did I. Yoshi has become a Pittsburgh Pirate. Since day one, him coming over, we talked and mentioned how no expectations. Just a guy, but to me at least, there was some intrigue because of course, the power he presents. There's a reason why the Rays signed him. There's a reason why the Dodgers picked him up. But at the same time, there's also reasons why both teams said that we're done with you as well, right? So the Pirates picked him up. No real expectations. He's done nothing but just like, to me, he makes me happy. Every time he's up, I'm happy. When he's in the field, I'm not so happy. I'll say that. Not a good defender at all. That right field, that should never be a position for him ever again. Like, not at PNC Park. He looks awful in right field. I can stick with first base. Maybe see a little bit of third base in a pinch, but I'm already over right field. But that's okay. That's not his calling card. He's not Cole Tucker. He's here for a glove, potentially, and somewhat of an okay bat. He's here for the bat, and he has shown nothing but he's got a bat in Pittsburgh for some power. Already 5 home runs for the Pittsburgh Pirates in just 13 games, Jim. A walk-off home run against the Cardinals, which, for one, just that home run alone, they're already working on the statute for. But, again, it is just 13 games. I'll get that. It's small sample. I'm not going off the ledge and saying, let's extend Yoshi. Let's get him here next year. He's going to be a mainstay in the 2022, lineup and forward. But I'm very intrigued right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a 62 home run pace, DiNardo, over the course of a full season.
Is that all?
No, he's been very refreshing to see, right? Because the one aspect, well, not the one, there are a lot of aspects on this team that they're struggling in, but probably the most glaring one is power, like just someone who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And he's now shown that he is fully capable of doing this. And he's done it in big spots too. Like, I feel like his home runs have been well timed. They're late in games. They're either like when the game is tied or he's tying the game, he's taking the lead. He's extending a short lead. Like, he's coming through when they need him to. I mean, that walk-off home run was just excellent. I mean, gosh, that game seemed like it was out of reach, really, just based off of how inept the offense looked. Like, it was like, man, this there's like no chance here. They're bringing in Alex Reyes. We're not getting any runs off of Alex Reyes. And then he just blasts the ball over the seats in right field, lands onto the right in the concourse behind the stands. I mean, he's been exciting. And yeah, I mean, just extra base machine right now. It's fun to see the power. I don't know how long this is going to last, right? I mean, I don't know how sustainable this Yoshi mania is, but I'm fine with just keeping him in the lineup and seeing how long it plays. This is a team that severely needs power, and if he can show that he can provide that down the stretch here, then I think, he definitely is an option for next year to bring back. I mean, so he's a free agent, so you'd have to, re-sign him. But maybe it's the change of scenery, what it is, but it's like it's clicking for him for really the first time in his career. I mean, he was okay when he was in Tampa Bay, his rookie year, but like he's never hit like this before. I mean, I know it's only 2 weeks, but goodness, he's just crushing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing 2 weeks to have under your belt.
Yeah.
So to expose myself a little bit here as well, I had a pretty busy weekend. So, and I even tweeted, I think, on the game you attended, Jim. I really didn't see. So I was very passively watching it. It was playing, right? But I wasn't watching. I was more listening and, peeking here and there. And the same could be said for Sunday's game for the most part. I was actually watching more of the middle. I wasn't able to watch it all the beginning part. I think about the third inning is when I started watching. And then about the sixth inning is when I was more like passively watching, working on some things. In the eighth inning, as you mentioned, like thinking this game is out of hand. The eighth inning, I actually had the game muted. Muted, Jim. Thought it was over. I was made aware of the walk-off by my phone telling me as the game was actually on. And I did a double, like, wait a minute. That means the Pirates won. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I look up, I'm like, holy hell, Yoshi hit a walk-off home run. So, yes, I'm a little embarrassed, a little exposed, but that's how I actually heard and knew that Yoshi hit the walk-off home run as the game was actually playing. It was from my phone alerting me. So I'm just with you as far as, I mean, what I said about him not playing right field again, I don't want to see it ever again. That's true. But unfortunately with this team and the situation, like for him to get at bats, he's going to have to. So we're going to see this mess in right field still. But whatever it takes to get his bat in this lineup every single day, well, as much as every single day for the rest of this year, I'm for, because you're 100% correct. It's only been 2 weeks, but this 2 weeks he's what we said about Hoy Park and all these other guys that you have to see them. You have to see them until you don't. And right now you have to see Yoshi, and I'm all for it. Power plays. Power is a true skill. We said before how power with no contact ability doesn't do any good, right? You mentioned how Yoshi could hit 25 bombs, and if you had a full season, he could hit 25 bombs. But if you're batting 150, does that really have any value? Probably not, right? So far though, so good. Like, he has power, but he's also hitting the ball. He's at a 333 at batting average. He's only striking out 16% of the time. Walk rate's still there. That's something he's always had too, is a high walk rate. So he has good on base, skills. He definitely has the power skill. So far, everything's translating. Give him every opportunity. See what you have in him. I don't know what it is either. Like you said, like maybe something just is clicking. I don't know. I mean, 5 home runs, and they've all been clutch. And the other thing too, like you talk about the home runs, like he's had clutch just hits as well.
Yeah, that's true too.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah, and again, this isn't somebody who just like came out of nowhere. I mean, he was an elite hitter in Japan, for many years. So he's capable of doing it. It's just a matter of, can he do it against major league pitching? And he really hasn't shown it up until this point. But he's now showing it, and I mean, it's been fun because he's definitely provided some spark. I mean, he's hit 5 home runs, DiNardo.
Mm-hmm.
The Pirates are 5-0 in the 5 games he's homered in.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
the Pirates will at least win 62 games next year if Yoshi's on the club.
Exactly. Barring any multi-home run games.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Once he hits a home run, you just take him out. Save him for next game.
Right.
Because we already got this one locked. Yeah, I'm cool with it. And that's the thing, too. I mean, like, we look at his career. He's played in basically... So, like, in 130 games, he's amassed 18 home runs. With the Pirates, he's got 5 and 13. Like we said, the power's definitely there, but he hasn't really shown it. I mean, that was his calling card. I mean, there's a reason the Rays paid. Like, the Rays, the bottom feed, payroll team in baseball. The reason the Rays said, we are going to invest $6 million in you. I mean, like you said, there's clearly was something there. It's not just a guy that just like no one heard of. Well, no one's heard of him, but for the most part. But it's not just this guy no one heard of, like Nagowski. It's not like Nagowski is coming up and has like 5 home runs and doing this. There was some talent there. So maybe for some reason it's coming out. I don't know. But yeah, definitely like what I'm seeing out of him. Want to see more out of him. But so here's something that's maybe kind of ironic, right? So he comes to Pittsburgh. He does hit. He does show the stuff. Maybe the changes, maybe whatever it is. But what we're not going to see, and I guess give credit to, is it's not from Rick Eckstein, apparently, because Rick Eckstein, the hitting coach, maybe you could give credit to him for fixing Yoshi. We're not going to see that opportunity, and Derek Shelton doesn't think that's the reason that Yoshi's playing well, because Rick Eckstein was released of his duties yesterday. He's no longer the hitting coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and as it comes out, this was more or less Shelton's call. Derek Shelton said it was his call. He didn't want Rick Eckstein there any longer, and therefore the Pirates said okay and moved on. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I would have fired him earlier.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he made it this far. I mean, the Pirates are dead last in baseball in weighted runs created plus. They're dead last in home runs. They're dead last in slugging. The only positive thing you could say about this team is that like they don't strike out a ton, but like that doesn't matter whenever you can't hit the ball. So yeah, this is a move that just had to happen. They're last in runs scored. They're an abysmal offensive team. And I mean, you go down the lineup too, like how many of these hitters have improved under Rick Eckstein? I don't know if you could say Brian Reynolds is having a good year, but is that Eckstein or is that just Reynolds being a good hitter? I mean, but Reynolds was a good hitter before Eckstein. So did he fix him? I don't know. It seems like just he's having the same approach as he always did. Maybe it had something to do with that. I don't know. But there are no hitters on this team who you're like, hey, this guy's developing nicely, right? You know, you could say Adam Frazier, but really when you looked at Adam Frazier's underlying statistics, that batting average, like he was just like, I still understand it. We talked about it the whole year where it's like he was just like blooping balls perfectly over the infield. So if you looked at his StatCast numbers, it was nothing spectacular. So yeah, and this is a move that I mean it needed to be done. I'm a little surprised they're not hiring an interim hitting coach or like bringing up somebody from Indy or something like that. Like at least having somebody there. I'm assuming it's just gonna kind of be like a hodgepodge mixture of people who are going to be coaching folks from now on for the rest of the year. But yeah, this the offense is terrible, and
right.
I mean, what are you gonna do? They're bad.
Well, the firing of him, you know, Tyler did bring it up last Thursday about like the coaching. It was more on the pitching side, but it kind of led to like let's talk about all the coaching, you know, and really has anyone really stood out? And you know, 2020 was a messed up year. You know, I still can give a lot of passes for that season for a lot of reasons, right? I mean, a big one that stands out, of course, is the guy that you mentioned, like with Brian Reynolds. You know, like you're a good hitter, you're a terrible hitter, and then you're an MVP type of hitter. You know, so clearly there's probably something in 2020. Let's sweep it under the rug and focus elsewhere. But you know, you are correct. Like when it comes to the hitting, you know, the pitching's the same too. But when it comes to the hitting, it's not as if anyone's like really standing out. It's not as if you look and say, yeah, like that guy looks better, this guy looks better. For the most part, like since 2019, I mean, Kevin Newman's been terrible, right? Like he's dropped off. He was the same thing as Brian Reynolds. Like him and Reynolds were, I'm not going to say the same hitter, but the same type of production. Like they're good quality batters. Reynolds and Newman are on very different paths right now. You know, but like you go up and down the lineup as well. I mean, there's some people like Adam Frazier, right? You mentioned Adam Frazier looks terrible right now. as much as a believer I am in Adam Frazier, there's still some question marks of what he was doing. I wasn't on board too much of extending him unless it was like just this ridiculously team friendly type of contract.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like since 2020 and 2021, it's not as if you're looking and saying, yeah, like the Eckstein effects, it's good. Also, at the same time, it's not as if the team that really has talent either. You know, like what is he really working with? I get that too, but I'm perfectly okay with him being released. I guess what just I'm not gonna say shocks me, but like I'm intrigued to know about is it was Shelton's call, like, and then they're doing it right now, like not waiting until this season. Now, here's something I get: if you've made the decision in your mind that you want to move on, to me, there's no reason to keep this going. You know, some people have questioned the timing, not like how you said it's too late, but they're questioning timing. Why now? Why not after the season or such? If it's in your head that this guy's not it, what's the point of keeping around? You've already determined that. Why not just cut ties there? I'm also, excuse me, I'm with you too, intrigued. Like, so there's no one taking over. But in Shelton's comments, you know, with him and Charrington, they mentioned how they're creating like this, how do you word it? They have this hitting plan. Like they have this plan worked out.
Mm-hmm.
And with that plan, Eckstein was going. So they have something in motion. So I don't know what it is. But again, like I guess what gets me is that it was Shelton's call. What was it so much that Shelton had an issue with? Because at the same time, this is the kind of where I feel bad for Rick Eckstein. Derek Shelton, potentially one of the worst managers in baseball, said he doesn't want you. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't also Charrington's call. This was a guy who I think people question even way more than everything you talk about with Eckstein, right? Like, what are you doing, Shelton? You're not going to be here. You're a terrible manager. And like, it was your call, and Charrington was like, okay with it. So like, how terrible was Eckstein then? And how, like, I feel bad going home and saying, this guy who's not going to be major league, manager in a few years just fired me. You suck, and you're telling me I suck.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think the big factor here too is like Eckstein was not Shelton's guy, right? Eckstein was hired by Clint Hurdle.
True.
So, if you're Shelton and you are struggling, you at least want to do it with your guys. And Eckstein wasn't his guy. He was him and Cora were like the two holdovers, right? So Cora's still there. But so I'm completely fine with Shelton being like, hey, you know what? We tried you out. It's not working. And it's affecting my performance now. So yeah, I'm gonna bring in my own guys now to fix this issue. Again, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. I mean, I probably would have fired him after last year if I was Shelton.
Yeah.
Again, just the fact that he's not your guy, you know that Shelton has something in the back of his mind as far as like who he wants to bring in to do this, right? He's been around baseball for 30 years. He's got someone in mind. He's got people in mind that he wants to work with this team. And Eckstein's not one of them. So, I mean, at the first sign of Eckstein not performing, then yeah, bring in your own guy. So I think that's probably what's on deck here. Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. Hitting coaches are something that they've really transformed in the past few years. You've got a lot more people now doing like the individual hitting instructions at places like Driveline and those sorts of places. And teams are actually like encouraging that kind of stuff. So I feel like a hitting coach in baseball right now, you almost need somebody who like can really understand those sort of things. And it's almost like the hitting coach himself isn't even the one putting together, the plans. It's like you've got the players who go and they get these hitting coaches, and then the major league hitting coach really just has to be there to kind of help reinforce what's being built. by these third-party guys. So it's a weird position that has the dynamics of it have changed recently, because when you hear all these people, all these hitters in particular, and they're asked, hey, well, what changes did you make? What did you do different now? Every one of them will tell you, oh, well, I went to go see so-and-so. I went to go see so-and-so. It really doesn't have anything to do with their hitting coaches.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's like, hey, I made this change to my swing. I went to this facility during the off season every day and we worked on something, and it's not their major league hitting coach is doing it. So the hitting coach now at the major league level is just it's just like, hey, what are you doing that's working for you? And then, how are we going to just reinforce that throughout the season, right? Because he's the one who's with them all year. But it's a unique position. It's changed. And whatever the Pirates were doing clearly wasn't working, because like I said, I just listed off all the things they were last in the league in. If you look at batted ball numbers, they're also last in the league in everything there. Last in the league in barrels, last in the league in barrel percentage, last in the league in average exit velocity, last in the league in launch angle. So so what are we doing here? Like, something has to change,
Well, yeah. Again, that's it. I'm perfectly okay with this.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked. As I said on Thursday, I'd be okay if they went into next season with these guys, just because there's not a whole lot of talent, right, in the weird year. But I'm also perfectly okay if they can them and say, I mean, it's not working. Let's try to find something better. And that's clearly what they're doing, at least on the pitching side. I'm sorry, the hitting side. I don't think Oscar Marine's job, with this being said, and this happening now, I'm not sure if Oscar Marine's job is going to be safe. But like you mentioned, which makes a lot of sense, I didn't really think of, Eckstein isn't Shelton's guy. So I guess in the same sense, if you are failing at a manager and you think you're on the hot seat, this might be your last attempt to save your job. Like, he's not my guy. Here's my excuse. Let me get my guy and I'll make sure we can turn this team around. Still don't think that's going to help Shelton. But regardless, I can understand that. So yeah, and again, I'm not going to dig too much deeper. You said everything that was great, and those are all the reasons why I think he is gone. So yeah, so that's that. I guess we'll move on to
real quick before we actually move on. Jason Mackey just reporting Phillip Evans and Hoy Park are being called up today, which obviously means bad thing for Chavis and Hayes, their injuries.
Okay. Yes.
So Chavis and Hayes both got dinged up in the St. Louis series. Chavis on that crazy dive that he almost made an unbelievable catch on, but messed up his shoulder. So it sounds like he's going to be heading to the IL. And then Hayes, contusion on his other hand. So they're probably just taking it easy with Hayes. Hayes could probably stand a break too. So, but yeah, Phillip Evans and Hoy Park on their way back up.
Okay, well, I'm also over Phillip Evans. Hoy Park's back. Okay, I'm cool with that. Of course, not for the reasons. Chavis, we didn't talk too much, but I don't think he's had the same success and length, if you want to consider length, as Yoshi. But he was playing well here. Another guy that I would like to see finish and play as long as he can. I'm not sure how it's going to go for him, but Park gets another shot, so let's see what he can do and capitalize on it. So, all right, okay. Also, I guess Shelby Miller got the call. We can talk about that for just a second.
Yeah,
Shelby Miller.
Yeah, Shelby Miller. So there's going to be 3 new guys in Chicago this week. Yeah. Miller didn't pitch very much in Indianapolis. I think he only had like 9. He didn't have 10 innings pitched.
I think it was 8. Yeah.
Yeah, so and it was pretty much all short, late inning relief outings. So
which he performed. He
did.
Still small sample, but in that small sample, it's looked excellent.
Yeah, he's looked good. So we'll see what Shelby Miller still has. He's still not even that old.
He's only
like 30. That's what's kind of crazy. I feel like he must have. He broke in the majors super young. I mean, he was 21 when he made his debut with the Cardinals.
So he was also really good.
Yeah, it feels like he's been around forever. He was really good those first like 4 years, and then he hit 25 and everything fell apart. So he's followed a weird career arc so far. But yeah, Shelby Miller back in the majors. So we'll see. But yeah, along Chavis, let's talk about him for just a little bit.
Sure.
Somebody who I wasn't super high on when we acquired him, mainly just because he's kind of just showed that he strikes out a lot. He doesn't walk a lot. He's really, if the power's not there, he's pretty much worthless, right? Now he's shown in the 1 week or so that he's been with the Pirates that he can hit, right? He's a 0 walk rate right now for the Pirates. He was 1.2 walk rate for the Red Sox. He has 1 walk on the year in 104 plate appearances. He's walked 1 time. So like that right there is bad.
That's terrible.
And so like unless he's hitting 340, like that's just not. It's
like batting
not
340 and his on base is 344.
Yeah. Like I mean, now it's worked for this week. He's batting 364 with a 364 on base percentage, right? So that's the thing with Chavis. I don't know if the change of scenery is going to help. I'm fine with taking the flyer on him.
Mm-hmm.
He does have some talent, clearly. But yeah, I would. It's a bummer that he got hurt because I would have liked to see him play a lot down the stretch. Because again, he's another guy where you gotta figure out, hey, is this something? Is there something here? If so, let's hold on to him. If not, move on. Because he's kind of he's really in that Cole Tucker boat, honestly. Prospect coming up, high draft pick, first round pick. And he was even the same draft as Tucker. Was Tucker 2014 too?
I want to say.
Yeah. So actually the two of them were drafted almost. Tucker was the 24th overall pick. Chavis was the 26th overall pick in the 2014 draft. So they followed almost the exact same career arc. Chavis has hit a lot more in the minors than Tucker, and Chavis has hit a lot more in the majors than Tucker. Mm-hmm. But there are big flaws in both of their games, and so they're both really, like I said, they're in that same boat where it's like, okay, it's either time to put up or shut up. You either have to show that you're capable of doing this, or we've got to move on.
Yeah. I agree. I will say this. They're in the same boat. Personal opinion, though, is I would if I had to make a choice, I'm picking Chavis. Even though I didn't like the trade, just like you said, I wasn't all gung-ho about it. Why this guy is another person that's not going to make the majors. But to me, it's not me saying how I'm going to choose Chavis because I really like Chavis. I'm going to choose Chavis because I'm just really, really, really down on Cole Tucker. That's more of what it is. But yeah, good call.
If I had to pick between the two, I'd go Chavis. And that's why I would have liked to. Hopefully, this injury isn't serious and it like knocks him out for the rest of the year, because I do want to see him get some significant playing time before the end of the year.
Same.
Because yeah, like it's evaluation time for him. Like we need to find out if there's something usable there.
Yep. Absolutely agree. Okay. So with that said, anything else that you want to mention major league wise?
I think that does it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, then let's go to our minors. So I'll say this. There's definitely 2 guys that we want to talk about. There's 2 guys that stood out this week. There's 2 guys that probably could have made minor league player of the week, but only one can win, and it was Quinn Priester. So maybe we'll start with Quinn Priester.
Yeah.
He did a thing.
Gosh. He was outstanding in his start this week. So he had a perfect game going basically for the first 4 innings. He struck out 11 of the first 12 batters he faced. I mean, it was incredible. But he ended up finishing the game 6 innings pitched. He gave up 1 hit, didn't walk anybody, and he struck out 13 batters. So just an unbelievable start. I mean, probably his best one of the year. He did have a 7 scoreless inning outing earlier this month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had 7 innings, 1 run a little bit earlier too. But like this was just a dominating performance. And he looks like, I mean, looking at the numbers now, they keep getting better and better. He looks like that guy who all the scouts were salivating about over the offseason, right?
Yep.
And why he made that huge jump on prospect lists. I mean, he's now, he's 20 years old, high A ball. He now has a 2.86 earned run average in his 17 starts. He's got the K rate over 1K per inning. The walk rate isn't great, but it's not terrible either, but it keeps going down. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. I think if you had one knock on him, you know, you want to see a little bit more control and maybe a little bit more strikeouts. But as of late, he seems to have figured that out. He's striking out more people, and he's walking less people in his last few starts. And it's really clicking for him. And that's just an insane start out of him last week.
Yes, it was. So again, he went 6 innings, right? So in 6 innings, you need 18 outs. In those 6 innings, he faced 19 batters. Like, you got everyone out but one. It just completely dominated that game. And you are correct with all the other things. And yes, it's Quinn Priester's. I felt like his early season performance was a little bit shaky, right? I mean, all the hype he was getting into the season, you really want to see him perform because it's like, what is it with Quinn Priester? Like, how did he just blow up on the scene without a season last year? Like, what is he doing? So you're real anxious to see. And I think at the beginning of the season, it was a little bit shaky, right? He had some good performances, some not so good. It's gotten better, like you mentioned. And now when you look at the entire season as a whole, there's not too much you can complain about, right? You can nitpick what you are saying, and there's still worries about it. I'm not sure if this performance lives up to the hype that he got, but it is a really good season, and it is showing that he is a good pitcher. So certainly someone into the future. But yeah, like now 85 innings pitched and a 2.86 ERA, 87 strikeouts. I mean, those are pretty nice. But what's most important is, like you said, he has improved. He's gotten better right now. And again, this last game, just literally untouchable.
Yeah, good to see.
So also very good to see. Now imagine hitting 3 home runs in one game and then not being the player of the week, right? Nick Gonzales. Right. So this is the 3rd week in a row we've really highlighted Nick Gonzales. That 2 weeks ago it was like, well, look what he's done over this last month. Last week it was like, well, look what he's done over these last 5 weeks. And now each week it's getting better and better and better. He's hitting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is your dude. Go ahead, take it. I think you have was it 5 autograph cards in Nick Gonzales? What do you got now?
No, it's way more than that.
Oh, sorry. Clearly your dude.
But no, he's doing exactly what you want him to see. I guess they might just be keeping him in high A ball. I don't know if they're maybe trying to just keep that team together for the playoff run. I don't know what they're doing, but he's clearly shown now that he is dominating high A ball. He's now hitting 298 with a 365 on base percentage and a 544 slugging percentage. So that is a 999 OPS. Wait, no, my math's wrong. 1009 OPS. Right? Yeah,
could be
1009 OPS. He's got a weighted runs created plus of 140. Oh wait, 910 OPS. My math sucks. 910 OPS. 140 weighted runs created plus. But again, he is just, we keep talking about him. He's on fire. Really ever since like mid-July, he has just been on an absolute tear. Multi-hit game after multi-hit game, home runs. Last week he hit four more home runs in 5 games. The dude just keeps hitting. I really want to see him in Double-A, but I don't know what they're doing. I guess they're just. I want to see. I want to hear the justification for this, because the reason why I'm saying this is because all of his peers have pretty much moved to Double-A.
Yeah.
Right. So like the college hitters in the class have moved on to Double-A, and I want to know why he hasn't yet, because we were talking about like the K rate being like maybe a little bit high, but that keeps plummeting. I mean, it's plummeting. He's doing everything you want him to do. Like, let's see. I want to see him against Double-A pitching so bad, DiNardo.
Yes, you do. It's been well documented on this show that you do. And in the first week, I said how is that the theme for me this year? I'm just indifferent. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of plate appearances, so I'm okay keeping him down there, letting him have that success. Because like, what's really a couple weeks going to be for him? And then the next week he's still, and that's the thing too. Like each week, right? It's not as if he's just been just as good. He's gotten better every week. And that's why I'm at the point where I'm at, So like I said, last week, he was even better than all those weeks before. And it's like, well, okay, I guess I can see our side. Like he's not just keeping the status quo right now. He's taking up another notch. So maybe put him up there. And then this week again, like it was even better. Like every week he's just blowing the stats out the water of the previous week. So now I'm on point. Like I get it's just 2 weeks of like the Double-A season left, but just do it. Just do it. I mean, clearly at this point in time, he is just annihilating high A baseball. So like you said about mid-July, since yes, July 16th, which is like this date we keep using because 2 weeks ago, that was a month ago. So in the last 6 weeks, he is batting .361, his on base of .424, his slugging is .639, his OPS is 1,063, a .179 weighted runs created plus. He is basically 80% better than the average player he's playing against. Strikeout rate, 23.3%, just as you said, just plummeting down. I mean, this guy looks so legit. So why not just, even though it's for 2 weeks, give him that promotion, give him that kudos, give him that carrot. You're in Double-A. Congratulations. But also, I'll say selfishly to a degree, I want to see him in Double-A as well, because that Double-A lineup, like now imagine Nick Gonzales in Altoona. That lineup it should be illegal. It should be illegal.
Yeah, and once he goes into that Altoona lineup, and I mean Altoona's playing for a playoff spot too, so it's not like you're taking Nick Gonzales out of a playoff run.
You're putting him in one.
I don't know. Right, exactly. So like I don't know. I'm looking at everybody else, right? And Torkelson's in AAA now. He's moved up from high A to Double-A to AAA. Austin Martin is in Double-A. Justin Foskew's in Double-A. Garrett Mitchell's in Double-A. So you've got all these college bats from the first round last year, and Gonzales, Kerstad hasn't even played yet. Kerstad might not ever play. He might be done. But Gonzales, yeah, just in high A, and he's crushing the ball. Like let's move him along here. Let's because I think all of us want to see these guys eventually hit Pittsburgh. That's like the end goal here. We want to see these guys in Pittsburgh, and we want them to get here really as fast as possible.
Which Nick Gonzales was, a potential fast track candidate. He could get here quicker.
Yeah. And I gotta think if it wasn't for the injuries, he'd already be in Double-A.
Same.
But like, come on, Ben. Like, what are we waiting on? Like, what are we waiting on? He's clearly shown that he's dominating this level. Let's move it. Let's move it.
Yep. I'm all for it now. Like I wish and hoped he was there today, which he, at least that I know of, is not. Which also makes it sound as if he probably won't be. Again, I know 2 weeks ago I was indifferent. Now I'm all with you. I'm for it. Like, let's get him there. Let's get him there. Let's have him finish in AA. He can finish there. You see 2 weeks, and what if he does really good there? I mean, that's great. That's a great foundation to move forward next year. He's in AA again, and makes you feel really good about him. And I'm sure he feels really good. Like, he gets rewarded, and he should be in AA. The injuries is what kind of derailed him, like you mentioned. And I think he's proving that. This guy, this is like the Roansy Contreras effect. You know, like he is at the point now where it's embarrassing that he's in this league, you know, for all the other players, all the other pitchers.
Yeah.
So get him up to AA, even though it is just a few weeks to finish it out to the playoffs. But yeah, it does not look like it's going to happen then. So whatevs. So yeah, there's those two players that are just killing it right now. Anything else? I mean, do we want to? It seems like we got to talk about Matt Frazier again, right? Just because
the dude just keeps hitting. I mean, absolutely awesome to see. I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot more to add. He's finally. I think he could. You know, he could hopefully finally be that guy who like comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you know, is that dude. He didn't have he kind of fell back down to earth a little bit last week.
Mm-hmm.
He still, you know, he was 3 for, you know, his series. So 3 for 24 or something like that. So not the best week last week. That was really the first time he struggled since being called up to AA. But yeah, just keep seeing good things out of him.
Yep. Very, very intriguing. I feel so. What I want to bring up was there it is. So yeah, so right, like you said, so it was a down performance, but I mean the strikeouts were really, really low still. You know, I just feel just luck didn't work out his way. Very low BABIP.
Yeah.
But but yeah, like man, I just love everything about Matt Frazier right now. Anything else stand out for you this week, minor league wise?
I mean, there's some like super low level stuff happening. So, you know, Bubba Chandler, Braylon Bishop, those guys are all playing. I think Lonnie White even started playing. So, you know, there's some stuff going on there in, you know, the complex league as they call it now. So yeah, Lonnie White, 4 games under his belt now. Henry Davis looks like he may be out the rest of the year with an oblique, so a little disappointing there. I would imagine he gets some playing time this fall. He could be an Arizona Fall League candidate, I think.
As long as
as well as Gonzales could be too with the missed playing time. So I think those are 2 guys who will probably end up in the Arizona Fall League.
I'm going to be very honest with you. I kind of forgot about the Arizona Fall League because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's back.
The Arizona
it's back
Fall
this
League.
year. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That makes me feel a little better about Nick Gonzales now too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it's back.
Speaking about minor league lower levels too, to mention Po Yu Chen has made his debut in Low A. So, he was tearing it up beforehand. So 26 innings pitched in 6 starts. He had a very nice .69 ERA, striking out
Very
10
nice.
batters per 9, not 1 walk, not 1 home run. So good stuff from the international signing, Jim. Those international dollars, baby. So yeah, very nice thing from him as well from the low minors.
Yeah, looks very got roughed up a little bit, you know, in his first start in A-ball. So he'll probably get, you know, 3 more starts the rest of this year, kind of just see where he does. But yeah, only 19 years old, and he absolutely dominated Complex League.
Yep. That's really all I had to say.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap up the show. It's about that time.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you
it's
guys
about time.
Thursday night. So, bye-bye.
See you guys.